Hello everyone, this is Jack the Rambling Raconteur, and I was looking for a tag for this week, and I saw that Mark Richardson did the recycling book tag, which was originally created by David Wardrop. And of course, the first question is going green, and it just happens that green is my favorite color. I'm wearing both green shirt and shorts tonight. We're repainting a couple of walls in our house, and they're actually being repainted a shade of green called Caribbean Current. And my funniest green story, my high school colors were green. The high school I graduated from, the school I currently teach at, has green in its school colors, so it just kind of follows me around. But by far the funniest green story I have is that we had been married, I think, 3 years, 2 or 3 years. And my wife and I got kind of changed out the toothbrushes, and about 3 days into changing out those toothbrushes, mind you, we'd been married a while, I accidentally grabbed the green toothbrush that was hers and used it, and she walked in and she said, "What are you doing with my toothbrush?" I said, "Oh, green's my favorite color. I just thought it was mine for a moment." So when I saw this recycling book tag, I liked the questions, but I also just loved that the first question was going green. So the first question is going green. Name an example of a book that has green either on the cover or in the title. And for Mark, just really for Mark, I don't even know if he'll watch this, but he showed the Science Fiction Hall of Fame Volume 1, which was short stories. Volumes 2A and 2B were like longer stories, novellas. This is Volume 2B, which has quite a bit of green on the cover. My favorite story in this is James Blish's Earthman Come Home. But I also have Richard Stark's Green Eagle score, which has green in both the title and on the book. And if I had to pick one, though, it would be J.R. by William Gaddis, with the great, I think it's a bear note on it. That's just a totally insane read, but fantastic. So then question 2 was reduce a thin or small book you own. And I swear I thought it was going to be The Dying Earth by Jack Vance, because it just seems so slim. But then I realized I was off by close to over 50 pages, and it's a tie between Rainer Maria Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet and then On the Incarnation by Athanasius. So those were both clocking in at 108 pages in the editions I have. Love both of those. Read them in college, reread them probably every 3 years. So question 3, reuse a book you have that's well worn. And there were a couple of choices, but I decided that my most well worn, it wasn't originally worn by me. You can kind of see where the college bookstore sticker came off, but when I was getting my minor in classics in college, I ended up picking up this copy of Plato's Last Days of Socrates, which has the Erythro, Apologia, Crito, and then Phaedo. And definitely, I've probably read Apologia most of those 4, but it's a pretty well worn. It doesn't have any highlighting or like annotations written in it. It's just it had broken spine, battered book, but quite a good read. So then, question 4, recycle a book you have reread or most handled. So I have 2 for this one. There's no question, it's not even close. The book I've read the most, and again, it's the outlier that's so far above the others that it's not even close, but that would be the Bible. But in terms of like a fictional book that I've reread the most, I was looking through, I think it's my copy of the Portable Faulkner. I've gone through one copy of this, and this is my second copy, and I just enjoy dipping into this. It has so many great selections of his that are shorter, or that it really shows the development of that fictional county in Mississippi, and I think it gives a little bit more perspective to what's going on, and points out some of the themes and undercurrents that run throughout all of his novels, all of his stories. It does have the bear, which is just amazing, but it has stories that take place in like the 1830s, when there are still Native Americans. Not, Faulkner famously has so many characters that are dealing with either slavery, in its existence, or Reconstruction, or the aftermath of slavery and Reconstruction in the 1920s and 1930s. He has that whole, sequence. But he even has a few stories in here that deal with when Mississippi's first being settled, and there are still some Native Americans who are living, on their indigenous lands. And then it goes all the way up through. It includes A Rose for Emily. It includes the Dilsey section from Sound and the Fury, which is my favorite of his novels. It includes the half of the Wild Palm / If I Forget Thee, Jerusalem, that is Old Man. And I'm trying to remember if it has An Odor of Verbena, which is probably my favorite story of his. May not. Yeah, it has An Odor of Verbena, the final story in The Unvanquished, which is just one of my favorites. So that's probably the Bible, hands down. It's really not close. I'm reading that every year, not quite every week of my adult life, but certainly every year. But then Portable Faulkner is another one that I dip into quite frequently. Collected Shakespeare probably would have been third. And so then finally, question 5. Don't throw away the oldest book you own or the book you refuse to part with. So this is an unrecognizable copy of Watership Down. Watership Down was my favorite book as a child. Here you can see that is actually Watership Down. It has the entire text, and even the last page of the Lay Pine glossary is in here. So all of the text, everything you need is in here. But this book is, I believe, not just the oldest book I've owned, but this was a gift to me when I was like 4 or 5, because I had seen the film Watership Down. My dad had me watch it, and I loved it. I adored the film. It is still one of my favorite films. I have like the Criterion Collection DVD. I watched the Netflix adaptation and loved that. That's a story that I have always loved, and so I had asked for a copy of the book, and so my parents gave it to me and sort of like read it to me. And this is a book that I've read in every single decade of my life. So my parents read it to me when I was young. I then read it probably, I had read it in grade school, so I may have read it by the time I was 10 on my own, totally on my own. I read it in middle school, I read it in high school, I read it in college. I met my best friend in college in part because we were both making what we regarded as inside jokes in our own minds about Watership Down, when like making fun of some friends. It's a book I lent to my wife when we first started dating, and that she liked. I've read it in my 20s multiple times. I've read it in my 30s. Right after I had become a father, and I'm going to reread it. Probably very soon I'll be rereading it to my daughters, or at least my older daughter, and kind of getting her in the sequence of reading Watership Down. So the book that I've had the longest, the book that stays with me, it's gone on long cross-country or track trips with me, track and field, bus trips. It's been in different states, and I still have it. It still has the original glued binding. I don't know what this glue was, but it's some of the best adhesive that's ever been conceived by man. But that's Watership Down. So that's the recycling book tag, and I hope everyone's having a great week. So I'll see you around. Thank you.